Well, back to level 3 in Glasgow at least, so there's no travelling out of the city. I think there's an announcement getting made today. I suspect at least one other area of the country will follow suit. It's just quite unbelievable how this has all gone over a year now. Anyway, I thought I'd take this opportunity to tell you how to use a compass in a quite basic way. It's dead easy. I'll make it this quick because it is quick, easy to pick up. I'm no expert, but I have done quite a few long distance walking trails in Scotland and in England. And you can read about a few of those in an ebook I did a while back titled A Walk with Elves. We're talking about the Cotswold Way, St Cuthbert's Way, Southern Upland Way, Fife Coastal Path, and quite a few more. I mean, one of the first long distance paths or walking trails that I ever tackled was the West Highland Way. For a lot of people that would probably be their first bash at one of these trails. But I was young and totally inexperienced and as foolish as I still am today. And I could only do a half of it. I threw the towel in at Bridge of Orchy. I mean, I thought I'd planned it well, but I hadn't. I'd packed my rucksack with all sorts of stuff, tins of beans even. You know, that's how inexperienced we're talking here. It weighed an absolute ton. And on day one, I walked from Mulgai to the youth hostel at Riverdennon. It's about 26 miles and it completely ruined me. You know, I walked too far, my rucksack was too heavy. What a disaster. But you learn from these things, although clearly it's better if you learn from other people's blunders than your own ones. This basic way of using a compass with a map, it pretty much relies on you knowing where you are. Because if you don't know where you are, then you're in big trouble. You know, it's as simple as that. I mean, I've got lost in the past, but I've never been that far from where I should be. You know, sometimes you might accidentally take a wrong fork in a path. You're not sure and you wander for a bit. You wander too far. If you haven't noticed that you've taken the wrong fork, then you can be walking for hours before realising that something's wrong, by which time you could be pretty well lost in a serious way. But I've never quite got to that stage. I've kind of generally figured things out and backtracked and determined what was what and eventually found out exactly where I was and how to correct things. But if you're totally lost, you're in serious trouble. I used to do a bit of orienteering, just for a very short spell, I think over a decade ago, but I was never very good at it. I think it was the having to read a map and be quick at the same time. I was never quick. I'm a bit of a plodder in that respect. But one thing orienteering taught me was how to keep your thumb on your exact position on your paper map. It's crucial, even in just a walking scenario. Certainly if you're in an area of the country that you're not familiar with, an area of ground that you've never been on, you don't know what's what. If you can keep your thumb on your map, and we're talking about Landranger Ordnance Survey maps. Here's the cover for one, that's Perth and Alwa, Landranger number 58. It's about 1 1/4 inches to a mile. You have to become familiar with this. And it's something that if you put a bit of effort in, it pays dividends. You gradually become more and more familiar with it, and you can safely traverse the landscape and even start to make up your own routes that aren't recognised paths. So become familiar with your map, what all the different coloured lines are and these squiggly brown things and such like. It's important. It might feel like a bit of a chore initially to be keeping your thumb on your map, on the position that you are, and altering your thumb position as you come upon each recognisable feature on the ground. You might have your thumb on, say, a bridge over a stream or something, and when you come to that bridge on a stream, you can then change your thumb to the next recognisable feature, whatever that might be. Might be a severe bend in the track, having to cross a wall or fence line, just coming to a wider track, path or a road or whatever. You're constantly on the lookout for features on the ground that are also on your map that confirm that you are where you think you are. And as I say, that's a bit of a chore initially, but it will become second nature after a while, and you just kind of have a quick glance at your map, see what should be coming up, and you're keeping an eye out for it and making sure everything's all right. There are other ways of using a compass that I'm not familiar with and I've never used, and these, from what I gather, may be used if you are completely lost and you haven't got a clue what's going on where you are, and you're thinking, oh my God, I'm in trouble here. From what I understand, and by all means check this for yourself, because as I say, I don't really know about this, but I would imagine if, for talking's sake, you could see a recognisable feature from where you were. So you saw a mountain, you think, oh yeah, I recognise that. But you have to be sure that that feature is what you think it is. In the past, I've mixed up my Ben Leddies and my Ben Lomans, and it's easy to mix things up. Be sure that that's a certain thing, but it's not. But if you can see a feature, a mountain for talking's sake, and you definitely recognise it, and you've got your compass, and this will, in essence, the little red arrow on this points towards north. I mean, there is some sort of slight variations between true north and what your compass is saying. I've always ignored that aspect of things, rightly or wrongly, but it's never, this has always stood me in good stead. So if you could see this mountain, say it was that way, and your compass is pointing that way, towards north, and you're thinking, well, that's like 90 degrees. If that's north and that mountain is west, then I must be on the east of that mountain. And if you can determine what sort of distance you're talking about between where you are and that feature, then you can get a rough idea of where you might be. You then have to be looking at your map and seeing what other features there might be potentially near at hand: roads, rivers, bridges, overhead power cables, all sorts of things that you might start to think, well, if I walk in this direction, I should be coming upon a road or a stream or something, or maybe it should be that way. You're gradually walking one way or the other and hoping to come upon one feature at a time to confirm or gradually confirm where you might be. And the more features on the ground that you can confirm with your map, the better, the more probability that you begin to actually be where you think you are, if that makes sense. It's all about confirmation. But you have to have continuous confirmation. It's all too easy to think, well, that's a river, so it must be that river. or that's a road, it must be that road. If you're miles from where you think you are, it might not be that river or that road. It could be another one that is not that far away. So it's just about continuous sort of confirmation. Anyway, that's me rapided on for, I think, long enough. This is very quick to learn and very easy, so let me just show you this. Okay, so here's your Ordnance Survey map. In this case it's Stirling and the Trossachs Landranger number 57. Now just for talking's sake, if we wanted, I mean here you can see Carn Valley Reservoir, and if you, for example, wanted to go from here, that seems to say Kirklemuir Cemetery, so there's a wee cemetery there, pretty recognisable. You're also on the edge of a wooded area. Of course, this perhaps enforces the notion, or the idea that you should always have a map that's up to date, because forests come and go. That forest might not be there anymore. So keep your map up to date. But if, just for talk's sake, we wanted to go from here to Earl's Hill there, and you can see a lot of masts. Not sure what that is actually. I mean, down here you can see Craig and Gelt Hill. That looks like a wind farm, but that just looks like a lot of masts on Earl's Hill. Masts of some sort. So, by the crow flies, it looks to be about 1, 2, just over 3 miles. But you very rarely go as the crow flies, unless you were a crow. So, if you were here and you didn't know which direction that was, you would take your compass. You line up the long edge of your compass between where you are and where you want to go, with the arrow at the end here pointing in the direction that you want to travel. So I've got the edge, Kirklemuir Cemetery, Earl's Hill. Once you've done that, if you then rotate the circular part of your compass, making sure to keep your compass firm so it's still on the line here, rotate this middle bit until the lines in this circular bit line up with the faint blue lines on the map, making sure that the arrow in this circular bit is pointing towards the top or the north of your map. Once you've done that, you can actually remove the compass from your map, and all you have to do is just turn the compass around until the red movable arrow on the compass, which is always pointing towards north, until that is in line with the arrow in the central circular bit. Two of them are lined up. Once you've done that, this arrow on the body of the compass is pointing towards where you want to go. In other words, in this occasion, this would be pointing towards, I've already forgotten what it's called, Earl's Hill, yeah. So it's that simple. I've almost made a dog's dinner of it there, making it sound awful complicated, but just go through it a few times, practice in an area that you're familiar with, and it really is a bit of a doddle, and at times it might even save your life. So it's that easy. Hopefully here in Glasgow we'll get out of COVID level 3 restrictions, and be able to travel. I've already got a location lined up for the next video, and I'm looking forward to walking it. So until the next time, I'm Eddie Burns. Bye for now.